Combining weird and wonderful market sectors together in one car doesn't always work, but when it does, the payoffs can be huge. BMW found this out when they brought their X5 to market, combining the handling of a sports saloon with the appeal of a big 4x4. And they think they have another winner with the four-wheel drive X6 Sports Activity Coupe.
A lot of SUV 4x4s are marketed as sports activity vehicles. Indeed, BMW first advertised their original X5 in that way, pitching it as a car that was less boxy 4x4 and more lifestyle orientated. But buyers are rarely fooled. Even the stylish X5, if not boxy, was recognisably a 4x4 with all the positive and negative connotations that brings with it. There was a space in their range, the Germans felt, for a high-riding 4x4 with a coupe-style look that really was different, that really was sports activity. The X6 is it. Things have moved on a bit since the X5 was launched. That car was a revelation then and remains one of the very best luxury 4x4s to drive, but the X6 is playing to a different crowd who want the high seating position but an even more sporting drive. It delivers it too, thanks to what lies under the bonnet and some very sophisticated high-tech trickery. Let's start with engines. The X6 represents the first time that BMW has announced a range of exclusively turbocharged cars. For a company that's built its reputation on normally aspirated, usually six-cylinder power plants, that's quite a departure. But the X6 is not a car that adheres to convention. So what's the engine choice? Well, diesel-wise, there's the xDrive 30D that manages rest to 60 in 7.8 seconds and puts out 235 brake horsepower. Or there's the xDrive 35D that I'm using here that manages 286 brake horsepower. That's good enough for rest to 60 in just 6.7 seconds on the way to a top speed of 147 miles an hour. Go petrol, and there's a choice of the xDrive 35i with 306 brake horsepower or the xDrive 50i with 408 brake horsepower. Now, all X6 models feature four-wheel drive and a very clever system that debuts on this car called Dynamic Performance Control. Now, Dynamic Performance Control is the only stability control system that helps you if you get out of shape in a corner, whether or not you have your foot on the throttle. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. If you go into a corner too fast in most quality cars, there's an ESP-style stability program that gets you back into shape by applying braking to the inner wheels, and it kind of pulls you around the bend. Now, on the X6 with Dynamic Performance Control, it's different. Going to bend too fast, you're on the verge of getting slightly out of shape. Instead, DPC will push you around the corner by sending speed to the rear inner wheels that kind of pulls you around the bend and enables you to exit it more cleanly, faster and more unobtrusively. One BMW dealership described the X6 to me as a love it or hate it Marmite car, and that pretty much hits the nail on the head. It's certainly not one for the shy or retiring, and all your friends will have a view as to whether that coupe-like tapering rear roofline really works or really doesn't. The standard 19-inch alloy wheels also lend the car the look of something that's leapt straight from a designer's sketchbook, and the long overhangs, the flared wheel arches and the big front air intakes all add to the aggressive look. Prices sit mainly in the £40,000 to £50,000 bracket, and at this stage I'd normally give you a steer on rival models and how it compares, but to be quite frank, I can't really think of any. The only help I can give you is to budget around £2,000 model for comparable model over the cost of a mechanically almost identical X5. As you'd expect for the money, all X6 models come pretty well equipped. They all get 2-zone climate control, they all get 19-inch alloy wheels, you get this 6.5-inch colour screen linked to an iDrive controller and part electric adjustment for the seats. Now, go for the flagship xDrive 50i model and you also get a unique design for the alloy wheels, Nevada leather upholstery, self-leveling rear suspension and a unique design for the front kidney grille rear tailpipe combo. Yes, you can bump up the price of your X6 by dipping into the options catalogue, but as long as you can resist big items like the reversing camera, active steering and heads-up information display, then costs can be kept in check. BMW has forged quite a reputation for being one of the leading lights when it comes to engine efficiency, and this X6 is a key beneficiary, with even this powerful 286 brake horsepower xDrive 35D model capable of returning 34 miles per gallon on the combined cycle. And even when it comes to petrol, the 306 brake horsepower xDrive 35i manages 25.9 miles per gallon. Now, a lot of that comes courtesy of BMW's efficient dynamics technology that features across the range. Now, this is BMW's suite of energy-saving technologies that includes, for example, brake energy recirculation that recirculates energy lost to the alternator, reducing alternator drag in day-to-day motoring and improving fuel consumption. Low rolling resisting tyres, low friction transmission fluid and a high-tech absorbent matte glass battery are also key elements of efficient dynamics. Petrol X6s also feature a high precision direct injection system for even more efficient combustion. So factor in low servicing costs, decent residuals and some of the lowest emissions available for engines of this size and power, and you have a car that should be manageable in terms of day-to-day running costs. CO2 emissions can be as little as 217 grams per kilometre of CO2 if you go for the entry-level xDrive 30D, or as much as 299 grams per kilometre if you go for the top-of-the-range xDrive 50i. Insurance groupings range between 18 and 19, and fuel consumption, as we've said, is very competitive. So who will buy this car? Well, I reckon that the X6 will have to fend off competition from more traditional 4x4s as well as other 4-seat coupes. I also think that in the final reckoning, when those challenging looks have won universal acceptance, that it will end up doing pretty decent business for BMW. We're offering the young and successful all the attributes of a high-riding 4x4 with the attitude of a sports coupe. Many will see it as refreshing as well that with this model at least, the pretense of going off-road has at last been dropped. There can certainly be no misgivings about the engineering and the feast of technology employed within this X6. This 286 brake horsepower xDrive 35D that I've been driving is seriously quick off the mark, yet emits less CO2 than a 2.3 litre Ford Mondeo. The X6 range as a whole might be a gamble by BMW, but it's clearly one that the Munich company has put a lot of thought and resource into.